This smells. These keratin moth caterpillars. Alrighty, let's do this again. So there at the tip of the horn, my eyeball is where the kudu's eyeball is, and if you have a look, you can see my eye. Have a look at that. So I can put my eyeball in his eye socket, my little bloodstained eyeball, and there you're looking at my eye from the kudu's eye at the tip of his horn. And why is that important? Well, for one, he can aim with the tip of his horn. That's what he needs to see when he's aiming at an opponent. And two, kudus use their horns to hook vegetation. Let me show you. Take old kudu. So he'll be walking through the bush like this, being able to see the tip of his horn, right? He will then come up to a bush, not be able to reach the bush with his mouth. His mouth would be here, of course, not being able to reach, taking his horn and hooking a branch and bringing that branch down to feed on, and be able to see that. They break and thrash bushes, trying to break sticks, and then they'd break it and bring it down to a level where they can eat it at this particular level. Quite nice, eh? Interesting, these kudu skulls. Created, or the caterpillar thereof. Interesting, eh? Nice, all these little secrets that these bones can give to us. I did use his jaw there. Have a look here. When we watch kudu chewing, that way. This is how their teeth fit together. And these teeth, he would chew doing that with his teeth. And those ridges are what grind the food down to that very, very fine food that we see coming out in their dung. You can see all those surfaces there, those grinding surfaces. They'd be together. Oh, my puzzle building is not there. There we go. And he'd move it in that circular motion, grinding those things down. Interesting, eh? Actually found a spider here, which I don't know what it is as well. Have a look there. Jerica, good evening all the way from New Zealand. Never fails to amaze me how we can actually touch so many people from so far away. But Jerica, you've asked me, could I tell how old the kudu is from his horns? I can guess, Jerica, and I'm going to show you how I can now, in a second. We use the horns as an indicator of age. So basically you count a full twist. Alright, so we're going to do that together. From the top here, you've got 1, and then the next time it comes to the front is 2, and the next time it comes to the front here is 3. But if we have a careful look at the horn tips of this particular kudu, the horn tips, these last little bits, the last inch or so, if I stick my fingers up, you can see that they are almost parallel with one another. They're not facing each other, and they're not turned away from each other. And that shows me that this was a fully mature breeding bull, or bull of breeding age. In other words, one of the prime bulls that we have out here. Anywhere from 5 to 6 years old is where I would judge this particular kudu to have been when he was killed. If his horns were out, these tips, this one is getting there. You can see it's going to start to point in this direction. Then they are around about 6 to 7 years old, and anything on the inside curve. So in other words, if these horn tips were pointing toward one another, would be in the 4 or 5 year mark for a kudu of this particular size. And how you measure horn length with a kudu is from this, there's this ridge. You measure it on that ridge starts here. So you'd measure it from here, you'd bring it around and around and around all the way to the tip of the horn. And a big kudu bull is around about 60 inches of horn. So an actually massive amount of horn. So about 60 inches is a big kudu. And we don't have that big monsters walking around the Kruger. I mean, I'm not a person who judges horn length or anything like that, but I would imagine that most of the big male kudu that we find in the Kruger National Park have horn lengths of around about 50 to 60 inches, with a few exceptions over 60 inches. But that would be the exception. Alright, now obviously the lesson is don't play with bones that you find in the bush unless you know exactly what killed that animal. And the reason for that is anthrax. Anthrax is a spore that really starts to wipe out animals around about the dry time, and it's because it's a spore that's very heavy and it is denser than water. So it goes and lies in the deepest parts of the dam, and of course the deepest parts of the dam are the ones that dry up last, and animals will come and kick up that anthrax spore, drink it with the water, and for a ruminant that would be deadly. Now I don't know what killed this kudu. I can presume that it's lion. You can see how its bones are lying all over the place. It's been here for it's definitely more than 2 years. I would say probably, I don't know, even closer to 3 or maybe even 5 years. So difficult for me to tell. It is a bit of a risk of me playing around with the bones, but because it didn't die now, because it hasn't died recently, and in particular if it hasn't died from a cause that's not immediately apparent, i.e. it being inhaled by a lion or by a hyena at this present moment in time, I thought that it would be safe for me to touch. You don't want to go and touch fresh carcasses out here at this time of the year that you don't know what has killed them, and their bones as well. So I just let bygones be bygones with carcasses usually if I don't know what killed them. Excuse me. And on that note, and because I've gotten sidetracked from my Weeping Boer Bean expedition, we're going to carry on our way and send you over to one of the other vehicles for an update.
Inyala hiding in the thicket, and over here I better concentrate. We're back. Sorry about that, everybody. But we are here in full force now. That's one of the joys and wonders of being in the African bush. But it's quite nice. You get to get away. I quite enjoy not having reception sometimes. Just to remove myself from social media and the outside world and just really get in touch with nature. I think that's really important to do. It's very quiet this morning. As you know, these often happen. I'm going to blame the wind this morning. I think it's the wind's fault that we're not seeing anything. Hopefully this afternoon the wind will drop. We don't often have wind for the entire day in this area. It's usually either in the morning or in the afternoon. And it is September. August, September is the windy time. But we're going to carry on bumbling. I think bumbling is the word of the day today. I've used that a few times. Goodness gracious, where are you, little lions? Morning, Glory. Thank you so much for that information. She's given me some more information about the deer, the whitetail deer. So apparently they're quite similar to impala, and they have antlers and not horns, and it's just the males that get the antlers. So I'm sure most of you know, or actually it's a question that actually comes up quite often. So maybe I'll just quickly reiterate about the difference between antlers and horns. So here in Africa, our antelope have horns, so it's a bony protrusion with a keratin coating, and they don't shed them, so they have one set. So if they lose one in a fight, well, then they've only got one horn. If they lose both of them, well, it's unlucky. Unlike deer, which have antlers, and antlers, it's just keratin that is grown annually and then shed, which is quite nice. I've never seen an antler before in real life. I would like to see one. I'd like to know what it feels like. So if anybody actually knows what antlers feel like, if they can describe it to something that maybe I would know out here in the bush, that'd be great too. Asking lots of questions today, which is quite nice. We're going to go up and around over here, have a little scan. Ah, I remember this place. I remember I saw a hippo in this pan on my interview drive. But there are no hippos here today. There's just mud, dry mud. Lots of footprints. We're going to keep going. Always just double checking, like I keep saying. Gotta keep searching. So Arathusa, good morning to you. You've just asked me, or you said, so Arathusa, good morning to you. You've just asked me, or you said, and safari is a very expensive holiday, so I really like that. And it's quite interesting. I mean, this is very different to the guiding that I'm used to doing. So, you know, it's hard. I don't know. Like I'm just completely winging it, which is fun. I like being thrown out in the deep end. It makes you learn a lot quicker. Well, I think you learn a lot quicker. So yeah, that's sort of the thing that I'm most excited about, is just being able to talk to people from all over the world, which I'd used to do before, but it was only a small percent. Oh, VM is encouraging me to go straight, and we're on the lion tracks. We're going along this road. Let me see if I can pull over. Can you see them there? Let me jump out quickly. Oh, you've got them. So we've got some tracks going, and they're starting to get a little bit wind blown now because the wind has picked up. Looks like a female. So let's carry on going straight and just quickly double check and see if these tracks don't cross out of here. There's a big male track as well. Blobbit Blob, thank you for letting me know about what antlers feel like. Apparently they feel like glass rather than bone. That's quite interesting. I never would have guessed that. That's really amazing. We've got lots of lion tracks going here. Lots and lots. Now I've lost them. Okay. Let's go down this way a little bit. They've gone out. Okay, so it seems like I've got the lion tracks crossing out of our property now. Going into Via, maybe you can help me. Where are they heading to? Buffels Hook. So I'm going to let the guys know we've got lots of lion tracks crossing out here. So I'm not sure if anybody is aware of that, which is quite interesting. So they head out on a little animal pathway. Okay, let me quickly update the guys and just let them know, because everyone's spent quite a bit of time tracking. I do need to just get some intel over here. VM, whereabouts are we on Buffels Hook Cutline Junction? I'll get better. Say again, what's it?
Junction to Buffels Hook Dam.
Let's let everybody know. Brent Taylor. Brent, did you see all this Nkonzo of Ngonyam crossing north? We just here at Buffalo's Hook, Cutline, Buffalo's Hook Dam Junction. Yeah, AFM, I followed them going north, and it seems like they've crossed out and crossed north over the Cutline. Radio, so that's very sad news for us. Just wanted to let everybody know that actually looks like a leopard, but that is a lion. Okay, well that's a little bit of sad news. So we're going to maybe change our mind a bit. Let me see, what else would everybody like to see today? I think the cats are a bit on the scarce side, unfortunately. I mean, like I said, I'm going with the wind as the blame today. So what else would everybody like to see? Send us some questions, send us some requests, and we'll see what we can go and do. I'd like to try and find some zebra. We saw some very early this morning in a very, very thick bush. We could just sort of make out that there were zebra. Maybe we'll check some areas and just see if we're getting lucky. The wind is picking up now, it's starting to gust, so I can also only presume that some of the animals are going to be moving into the thicker vegetation now just to try and get away. But let's see, maybe we get lucky, maybe we've got somebody on our side today. Thanks, Justin, for that comment about antlers. I didn't know that. That was really, really interesting. Just check there's no one tailing behind us because I'm going rather slow. Thank you for that. I'm learning everything, something new every day, and that's what's so fantastic about this job, is that you can always learn from somebody that's got more experience than you, somebody that's got less experience than you, and we also all look at things differently, which is what's so exciting. And we're probably going to head a little bit further west along the cut line and then start heading a bit further south and just see what we've got around. Maybe we can go and check some plain areas just to see if the VM's going to help me. He's been a great help this morning trying to navigate around, and then hopefully we'll pick up on some animals. About the antlers, about how it is actually blood that's fed to the bone of the antler. And something I didn't know is that it's quite hot to the touch. I would never have thought that, because if you touch an antelope's horns, if you've ever done any game capture or anything like that, and you do get an opportunity to get up close, it doesn't feel really much like anything. There's no sort of heat coming off of it. So that was quite interesting. I'm going to do a bit more research about that as well. I think I'll do a bit of Googling, seeing as we don't really have any books based in South Africa. Sure, I could get a book about deer, and yeah, do a little bit of research and add that to my notes. I have a very big notebook. I'm always adding to it every day. I try and do an hour of research every day and just find out on something new. We have an Impala roadblock. What are you going to do, mister? We've got two gentlemen here and a drongo. So I'm going to go creep a little bit forward because they seem to be disappearing. I have to show you this little drongo though, because these are one of my favorite birds. Look at him just sitting there, perched beautifully. I shouldn't say he because I don't know if it's a male or a female. But they are such wonderful birds, and so intelligent as well. They're known for not just mimicking other birds, but other species as well, which is phenomenal.
Looks like the Cubs also everyone went across. Yeah.
Them next time.
Yes, I'm gonna head for Sydney's and then across west. Good luck.
I know this way.
Bye. Well, we found the wildebeest, which is the zebra's friend. It is probably the only wildebeest in Djuma who doesn't have any horns. Or does he? That's the question. Now it's getting really warm already, even though the wind's howling. I'd probably guess, what do you think, Brian? 28, 27, 28 degrees Celsius already. Well, I was walking after those lion tracks. I started to get a little bit warm. Discard my layer. Only one little layer today, no multiple layers. As Taylor just said, that in this wind, a lot of the stuff can be a little bit skittish. So hopefully we do find something that's a bit relaxed in the wind. And hello, is it Tim Painter? Well done on number 101, I think it was. Pin Painter? I'm sorry, I'm having a bit of problems with my comms there. But there we go. Pin, not Tim Pin. Yes, there we go. Pin Painter as number 101, the Karachani thrush. Yes, it is not. We see them, but often they are dashing through the sky, quite like Rudolph, but a bit faster, out of sight. So quite nice to catch one calling. Now I'm going to head to the west and then start working my way south from there. Maybe we'll have some luck with some leopards. Now Tingana seems to be still in Torchwood. I know Aubrey's following up in his tracks, and so is Tundi. So Karula, we're not sure where she might be, and of course Shadow pops up here, there and everywhere at the moment. But I would very much like to see Madam Inchila, who apparently made a few appearances while I was away on the Djuma Pan, and Brian and James actually spent some time with her. The tail. There we go, competition for the thumb, Brian. There's a leopard that's called the tail. I don't know, what do you guys think? I keep thinking Brian should do the toe one day. The big toe.
The arch nemesis of the thumb.
The arch nemesis of the thumb. Will the toe ever make an appearance? Yes. So we'll see. Will the arch nemesis of the thumb, the toe, steal the limelight for a drive? We'll have to wait and see. Bud in North Carolina, thank you very much for that information on the saying to keep your eyes peeled, and a lovely long explanation by Bud there, but I'm just going to grab the main part. It's apparently from the frontier, the old west. It was to keep your eyes skinned, which makes more sense to me because keep your eyelids open and skin. So I'm afraid we saw the wildebeest sitting on the back of a vehicle, and I know Taylor's in search of, well, they're disappearing already, but there we go, towards the Djuma waterhole, or to Gallagher Pan, the closest water for them at the moment. So zebra like to drink every day. They don't need to, but they do like to drink every day. Oh, you can see the fly is irritating that one, swishing its tail with venom. Oh, I'll say disappear. Bud, yes, was it 1837, right? 1837, to keep your eyes skinned.
1833, I do apologize. There we go. Thanks very much for that, bud. We now know. Yeah, that makes more sense to me, to keep your eyes skinned, to keep the skin off your eyes open, to keep a sharp lookout. To peel one's eyeball, I think, would be quite a painful process. But to keep one's skin will probably be quite painful as well. But it makes more sense to me there. But thanks very much for that, bud. Really interesting information. So I think we shall keep our eyes skinned rather than peeled today for any interesting creatures out here. Now we're going to keep on heading towards the west. Taylor's got one of the smaller, noisier critters that occur out here in the African bush.
Look what we have for you. Actually, I shouldn't talk too loudly because I cannot believe that we've managed to get this squirrel sitting so close by. It's really close. It's like maybe 3 meters away from us, perched on a termite mound with a lovely knobthorn sort of shading it. Now it's disappeared behind, but I think it's going to pop back up again. It was really relaxed. Now, squirrels. Never trust a squirrel. I don't trust them for anything. So often we rely on animals giving alarm calls in order to find them. And as Brent said, one of the noisiest creatures in the bush. And they are known to shout and scream for all sorts of things. You think, squirrel's alarm calling. You race on over hoping that there's going to be a leopard walking below it or something like that, or a pride of lions. And nope. Nothing, just shouting for nothing. Maybe having a territorial dispute or something like that. I'm not sure. Speaking of territorial disputes, some birds are shouting, but they've gone into the distance. It's a lilac-breasted roller making a lot of noise, but we're looking straight into the sun. So I think we're going to carry on. Our squirrel has left us, which is a pity, because it was lovely. Sneaky. Maybe it went behind us. There we go. So I believe also Brent is stealing all my thunder this morning. How dare he? He got the zebras. So I believe it wasn't a great view of zebras. Hopefully we'll find some out in the open. We're making our way slowly but surely back towards Quarantine. There's quite a nice open plain there. And that is actually the area where we saw a little group of zebras earlier this morning. But they were in the thicket. So maybe they've come out. We're going along this road. And our elephants that we saw this morning as well, we actually just drove past that road and they've moved off too. I wonder where they've gone. Right, let's go into first gear and take it slowly down this bumpy road. I'm still getting used to this Land Rover thing. No, it's supposed to be my debut drive and everybody is taking my zebras away from me. I'll leave you with Stef. And that'll give me quite an interesting sighting, seeing as he's on foot. So go and enjoy that. And I don't know what I'll have for you when you come back to me.
Our final destination on today's walk is that big, massive, green, weeping boerbean that I love so much. You can have a look. This zebra just standing on the side of a termite mound. I have no doubt that what he's doing is he's busy feeding on the succulent grasses that grow on the sides of large termite mounds. It's where he's sitting at the moment. Unfortunately, for closer approach, his zebra are visually focused, so they react quite strongly to visual cues, to movements in the bush. They will eventually react to smell, and you can see that the ash is being whipped away from the bag and almost directly onto that zebra. A little bit past his nose. I think that's probably why he hasn't run away from us just yet. But if we move a little bit forward, our scent is going to brush on top of him. Let's see. Keep on testing the wind. There's a couple of zebra there. Let's see what he does. Still not moving away from us just yet. Walk past. Walk past. Just got a bush here, so it's getting the antenna untangled. But let's go here. The zebra actually on the other side of the termite mound are blissfully unaware that we're even here. Have a look here. And that is because she couldn't see us. Couldn't see us because of the termite mound. Can't smell us because the wind is just going past them a little bit. It's allowing us to sneak even closer. Over the termite mound. Let's see here. Come and have a look here. We're still out of smell range. And there we go. That dazzle of zebra treating us this morning. I must say, I just find zebra and their stripes to be about as bizarre as a giraffe and their long neck. They're just some of the weirdest animals out here, large animals out here. Let's go forward a little bit more, see how close they do let us get. What we'll do is we'll use the termite mound as a little bit of camouflage. Keep on checking the wind. Now the zebra's just seen us. And our scent is blowing straight onto it. That's why she moved. It's incredible. James Richards, you've just asked me a question. Why do mountain zebra seem to be the only zebra with a dewlap? James, good question, and I'm going to try and answer it in this is for you to have a fat animal, but zebra are one of those animals that can produce quite a lot of this saturated fat that runs just underneath their skin along their body. And I would imagine that the mountain zebra living in the type of arid regions that they live in have this dewlap so that their skin can stretch to accommodate a higher fat percentage. So in years where rainfall has been high and been good and the grass has been good, I would imagine that the zebra can get quite bulky, relatively speaking, and that dewlap will allow the expansion of the animal's fat reserves. That's just a wild guess. I'm not sure at all. It's just taken from what I understand about zebra. It could be as a display thing. Perhaps mountain zebra need to display, and they use the dewlap as a type of lateral display from one rocky hilltop to another rocky hilltop, similar to how goats do it. And that dewlap will be a sign of strength and virility for a rival stallion or for a rival herd of females. So it could be any of those two. I'm not exactly sure, James, but I hope that those two explanations helped you decide for yourself what it could be. Those zebra have now moved on, and they moved on simply because while we weren't threatening to them visually, we were too far away. The sight of us walking through the bush coupled with our scent blowing straight onto them was just too much. And what they've done is they've just caught it across the wind and are standing now a little bit off. You can actually just see them straight through there, but out of the wind. Let's see if we can go forward a bit more. Max Mom. Good morning, Max Mom. You've asked me why have I got a white shirt on today, and isn't it making me a bit conspicuous? The truth be told is that my green shirt is in the wash today, Max Mom, and so I didn't have it in time to put on this morning. That's the truth of it. The other part of it is that I've never really found that a shirt like this, not completely white, that is as white as what a khaki shirt probably can get, but I do find that it's not too inconspicuous. Let me go stand next to this tree. I'll show you what I mean. Most of the bush cover this time of the year tends to be similarly colored to the shirt, and as long as you're standing behind some vegetation and not in bright light, that I seem to blend in with the colors found on these particular trees, as you can see. So it wasn't too much of a problem in my shirt selection this morning. I really just thought the drier the better for this type of shirt. I definitely won't wear it in summer, where I think I will stand out like a sore thumb. And then of course you have the animals that we're just looking at it now, which are dressed half in brilliant white and tend not to have such a problem. There the zebra are through there, and you can see we didn't chase them at all. They just moved out of our scent. Isn't that incredible? And we're now probably about half the distance when we first saw them, closer to them. And I think because we're going to be changing our approach angle now to a more oblique angle, that they'll actually allow us to pass pretty close to them. So I think what we'll do is we'll adopt the typical approach of a herbivore, and it's almost directly in line to the tree we want to get to, which is that beautiful green tree there, my favorite tree at Djuma at the moment. That's our destination. When we get there, we're going to sit on the termite mound and enjoy for a bit. But let's see if we can bypass these zebra without creating too much consternation. Alright, and while we get to our tree and find a pretty place to sit on, we're going to send you through to Brent for an update.
It is quite quiet, to say the least, out here. So we've covered the whole of the north and the east this morning. So we're now down in the sort of, well, we're heading towards the southwest at the moment. Now I'm hoping to see some nice leopard tracks here on Impala Road, but unfortunately there's not even an impala on Impala Road so far. This hot, windy weather will be keeping them a little bit undercover. It's also making it quite difficult to find some birds, but of course the killer bees like a challenge, and we'll start with an easy bird. Hello, little dovey. Beautiful. You can see how windy it is. Dove's battling to balance in the gusting winds. Oh. Not the best perch you chose there on that little ziziphus, little buffalo thorn. Oh, I think we've got half an hour, Brian. How many birds can we get in half an hour?
At least 10.
At least 10. Okay, there's one. We're on the bird mission. And in this windy weather, it's a real challenge, but as I said, the killer bees are always up for a challenge. And you're searching, Brian. I'm looking as well. It's going to be a challenge. In the shade, Brian. You got them. Well done. There we go. Little blue wax spill. Hello, powder puff. Is powder puff blue? I think I'd describe that. Back close. Oh, well done, Brian. I didn't even see those. There we go. Red-billed hornbill. What are we on now? 3. Well, let's make it 4. What do you think? Oh, don't fly away. Oh, we'll find it. I'm not too worried about that one. There we go. And around the corner is the next species. There we go. Okay. Well, I think we've exhausted this particular little spot of bird species, so we'll continue on. Now, Andrew is wondering what is the largest number of bird species I've seen at one time. Brian, would you care to take a guess? No, is it species or individual birds? Now, there's a very different question. I think species, probably about 25 or 30. on some water, some wading birds. Birds in one go. Brian, what would you say the largest number of birds in one congregation I've seen is?
150.
Try about 1.5 to 2 million estimated. It is the most numerous bird species in the world. It is called the red-billed quillia, and I've seen massive flocks in a place called Lake Ngami in northern Botswana, where you get flocks of over 1 million. They're tiny little birds. Let me see, I might have a picture of them somewhere. Now, when you are around them, they actually block out the sun. You cannot see the sun through them, and they're like a massive cloud. Do yourself a favor. I'm not going to show you a picture. I'm sure you'll find it somewhere on the interwebs. But Google flock red-billed quillia, or large flock of red-billed quillia. Just have a look at that. It is, and there's no ways I can describe it. I mean, if you take the skyline, that I've seen a flock that goes from there, all the way to behind Brian, and in the sky they take up from the horizon to beyond where I can reach, just one flock of birds. It is absolutely spectacular. They are often in flocks of over 1 million, specifically at this time of the year, in the dry season. We don't really get those monster flocks in this part of South Africa, but in the more arid parts, they can really get into these massive flocks. But they are quite a problem for farmers. Can you imagine 1.5 million quillias will decimate your maize crop in a very short time? They literally strip grass bare. They're little seed eaters, and can you believe they used to napalm them while they roosted to try bring the numbers down? But what quite often happens with species like that, when they're put under pressure, their breeding rate actually increases. So napalming was not a good idea. Brian, where are the birds? They're hiding. I think we should take a quick trip to Botswana and go see some quillias. Oh, dust's catching up with us. We need to go a bit faster so we don't eat our own dust. Oh, yeah, no one's driven down here yet this morning, so we've got a chance. Something. A track. A bird. As I said, this weather is not conducive to great general game viewing or bird watching, but as I said, we're the killer bees. We like a challenge. We're on 5 there. 6 more to go while we are in search of our bird species. Let's go see how. Well, I'm not sure who we're going to, so let's go to a surprise.
Yes, this is exactly it. At the tree that I consider my favorite at the moment, giving it a big Stefan hug at the moment just to say hello. We haven't made acquaintances ourselves in this tree just yet, but just take a look at how absolutely magnificent this pristine example of sleeping broerbean is. It needs to be blown off here, to be quite honest. The wind is just howling at the moment, so harboring that change that the red sun heralded this morning. But just, isn't this the most fantastic tree? Unfortunately, because it gives us something to look forward to. Hey? But just how ginormous this tree is. Not the tallest tree out here. I'd say it's probably maybe 15 meters high or so. But just absolutely infusing this turnaround on top. No doubt that it's growing on top of this termite mound, not through, and I'm going to prove it by having to ask you to have a look at the fantastic roots that are coming throughout this termite mound. And you can definitely see that they are roots, not the old bark of this tree. Now, how old this tree would be, I wouldn't even hazard a guess. 200 years, 300 years, maybe 400 years old. Definitely old. And it's one of the reasons why enormous trees like this are Let's see if we can bring you around the side of this tree a little bit. Alright, our signal's a bit bad for me.
Hello again. So I believe that Stef and Brent had nice zebra sightings. I suppose Stef had it. And I really wonder if Stef managed to sneak up on the zebra because they've got fantastic eyesight. It'll be quite interesting to hear at breakfast how well he did. So I'm looking for elephants because they're my go-to animal and everything else is hiding away from us. So we're trying to look for a breeding herd of elephants, which hopefully we're going to find. I know we don't have lots of time left, so we're going to go into an area where apparently there were some seen this morning, and hopefully they haven't moved too far away. So they were on quite a long road where we're basically heading straight towards that area. We're not stopping at Begin. We are going to try and relocate on this herd of elephants, which will make me very happy. As you know, elephants are my favorite animal, especially the small ones. Very entertaining creatures. Sorry, I keep staring into the sun, so if you see me blink or close my eyes, I apologize. Marianne, so you've asked me what animal inspires me most, and I'm going to stick with the elephants just like you, Marianne. I believe that the animal that inspires you most is an elephant too. It's just amazing that such a big animal that looks nothing like us as humans can share so many similarities sort of with their personalities, the emotions that they show, all their different movements. I can't get over that, and I'm going to talk about that for the next 150 years. And that's the animal that I absolutely love. How they go from being such tiny little characters, trying to walk, trying to stand. Once they've got that right, then it's trying to master the trunk, which is quite difficult and proves quite entertaining for us to obviously watch. So I love that whole process, and then as they get on and move on with life and get older and learn all the different migratory routes or where's the best place for water for different times of the year, I love that. That's my favorite. So Marianne, I hope that answers your question. I'm just going to pick up the pace just a little bit because I'm not sure how far we've still got to go, and I bumble. I drive like a tortoise sometimes, which is not a bad thing, but sometimes when you need to get somewhere it's also not a great thing. Whee! Around the corner. Ah, very nice. So we're going to head on over to Brent now, and he's got some animals that I think are peering over the tops of the trees. That will give you a clue as to what you're about to go and see. So enjoy that, and hopefully we'll be able to end the show with a little bit of an elephant fiesta.
Now we're playing who can spot what. Can you spot something, Brian?
I can.
Well done. What do you spot, Brian?
Giraffe.
A giraffe. There he is, just peering over the trees, as Taylor said. A male giraffe. Now, last night, before I went to bed, I was reading, and I found some very new, interesting information on giraffe. Now, long has it been thought that there is a single species of giraffe with many subspecies, but now it is no longer. There are 4 distinct genetic species of giraffe, and this is one of them, the southern giraffe. So the new 4 genetically distinct species of giraffe are the southern, the northern. They weren't very creative with their names there, were they, Brian? No. The southern, the northern, the Maasai, and the reticulated. Now, I have been lucky enough to see all four. Yes, now that is a very recent announcement, and Andy and Julia are wondering what is the significance of that announcement. Well, what do you think the significance is, Brian?
Separated all the rock.
That's about it, yes. So, with reticulated and Maasai, which have quite limited him ranges, or the Maasai is okay, it makes a difference where, probably in terms of conservation, that you probably find there'll be a bit more effort, a bit more funding put into the reticulated and Maasai giraffe and their subspecies like Rothschilds that are a little bit rare and under threat. But in general terms, it's an interesting fact. It does change the way the scientists have thought about the species. So, I mean, they all thought there were one and different variations of one. Now there are four that have obviously come from a common ancestor. But in terms of long-term ramifications, I think from the conservation of the threatened two and their threatened subspecies, you probably find there's a bit more funding put into that. And for any other long-term ramifications, we're going to have to wait and see. But we are with the southern giraffe, who is happy and the most stable of all the species. If I remember correctly, in the greater Kruger alone, there's like 6,000. There's a few giraffe in these parts. Now, of course, we don't see many giraffe here where we are in the mixed broad-leafed woodland. They prefer the open basalt plains beset with many knobthorn trees. So we do have our fair share of acacias, but nothing like the basalt plains of the central Kruger, and that's the highest density of giraffe in Kruger as well. And giraffe are surprisingly tolerant of quite a wide variety of habitats, and they even occur in the desert as long as there's permanent water about. The Kalahari's got quite a lot of giraffe. In South Africa, not so many in South Africa, but in Botswana, Botswana and Kalahari's got a fair number of giraffe, and they migrate in the Machadi with the zebra and wildebeest between the Naipan area and the Buteti River. It's Treehouse Waterhole. We still have 6 bird species to catch up, and I was hoping we'd have a long distance visual of at least one oxpecker on that giraffe, but I didn't see any. Did you, Brian? No. Forward, back, stop right here. Oh, wow, nice spot, Brian. A Cape Glossy Starling. Here we go, pretty and shining. So that's number 5. 5 more to go. Oof, the starling hoppity hops. And speaking of something that hops, I wonder if Stef will hop for us on foot.
Absolutely not. I won't hop for Brent on foot. Hardly for myself. I've come here though because this wallow grabbed my attention. This is a wallow that fills up with water, where even if it rains just a little bit, to be honest with you, and it's at a junction. It's at the Nyala Road junction with twin dams, and a place that we see a lot of elephant and buffalo activity when it is full. But I'm astounded at the depth of it, in actual fact, and that's what I wanted to come and show you, is the fact that this will fill up almost level with water, and they always look like these little mud puddles, but in reality this one is deeper. You know, it's at least mid-thigh deep, which would drown most things. I mean, it definitely will cause a buffalo some discomfort to sit in this wallow with its head hanging out. But every time I come here, this wallow is getting a little bit bigger, and that's because a mud wallow or a depression, just a little depression, fills up with some water, something will come and bath there, and a layer of clay gets deposited, and then again something will lie there, another layer of clay, and eventually it gets deep enough to become a natural dam. So this is sort of it's starting to get to that point where we are expecting this to become a natural pan or a natural dam that'll hold water for most of the wet season and for a long time into the dry season. And that's what I'm hoping for this. So every time an animal slips off the bank and slides into the mud, they increase this a little bit more. And every time a buffalo throws himself against a bank like this or like here, you can actually see where these banks have been rounded by animals lying against them. Every time a buffalo does that, or a rhino or an elephant, they make it a little bit more compact and they make it a little bit more robust. And that's basically how dam building is. That's how we have natural dams and natural pans forming over here. This is quite close to the river. It's adjacent to the Mawati, probably 200 meters away or something like that, not too far away, but it's on that floodplain of the Mawati, so it's lots of clay in this particular area. And clay is important for a pan because it stops the water from seeping away out underneath and back into the water table. So just a nice example of a pan, of a proto pan or an early pan. Alright, let's carry on. It's just such a nice day walking out here today. We've now got the wind in our faces finally, which is a good thing, because for most of the morning we've actually had the wind blowing from behind us into the bush where we're walking into. And it's a rule of thumb out here that you'll try and walk with the wind in your face as much as you can. Look, on a very windy day like today, doesn't matter where you're going to go. The wind is going to be either for you or massively against you. And yes, for elephant, for buffalo, and potentially for lion, it does make a difference. But when we're just ambling along through the bush out here, it's not too bad to have your presence announced. And so I don't mind walking in open areas like this with the wind blowing onto the bush, although that's not the case in this case. And with the wind blowing like it is now, a lot of animals get a little bit edgy. They rely on their sense of sound, or hearing at least, and when the wind blows like this, especially rhino can get quite bouncy and quite jittery. Buffalo as well, they go hide in thick bushes, and because the wind masks sounds of approach, you can get very, very close to animals before you even know they're there. And so that's what we'll be watching out for now. So while I'm busy walking, what I'm going to try and do is skirt very thick areas, and that's literally just to get, to reduce the risk, at least anyway, of us bumping into something here unannounced. But that's not really an issue today on this path right here, right now. Well, I say that, you know, anything can happen. That beautiful iridescent green beetle with the red legs and the red belly and the purple wings. Lynn, I had a quick flip through my insect book last night when I got back to camp, and I cannot find it. It's not in the pictures of beetles or weevils, in actual fact, not even one. So today I have to take out my serious insect book, which is going to take me a good amount of time, and go through the different characteristics on that beetle. And to this, the photos that you all sent me, and for those of you that did, I just have to say thank you so much. They're going to be undoubtedly the most valuable resource that I have in terms of trying to identify what beetle or what weevil, what was that we were having a look at yesterday. Now that I'm thinking about it, it definitely can't be a weevil. It had wings, so it's definitely a beetle. I just need to find exactly what beetle it was, and then I can hopefully get back to you. I thought it looked like a bacon beetle at first. So for those of you wanting to find out what was most like it, a bacon beetle was most like it. But have a look at this. These termites, harvested termites, are scurrying back to their hole. There's their hole there. They're going to find it now. What I did was I disturbed their grass pile. This is what they collected last night. Can you believe it? All of this. Now I'm going to just cover them up with their grass again. Can you believe that all of this was chopped quite neatly by a termite? This is what they did. They bit through that with their mandibles. They bit through it on the side as well. You can see how nicely that's been chopped. And then in their mouths, literally carrying this in their mouth, that tiny insect that's not more than that, carried this grass piece or this stump. To you and me it would be like you biting through a pine tree with your teeth and then carrying it in your mouth with the same teeth, using your legs and your arms, carrying it for a good few 100 yards back to a tunnel where you then lift the pine tree in your mouth and you drag it down your hole. That's basically what this little termite did. I mean, it's just, when you bring it up to our scale, it just sort of boggles your mind. But alright, back to Brent's B-Day and a green woodhoopoo.
Woodhoopoo, it is a Mariko sunbird. Pretty little one. Look at those beautiful iridescence on him. Number 6, Brian.
Number 6.
Whoa, off he goes. That's nice. We don't see them too often. We hear them flitting about, but that is the joy of the super zoo. Number 6, and I think that might be even a new one for a few of our birders out there, the Mariko sunbird. Now, there are a couple of wonderful sunbirds we're seeing at the moment. Now, with the knobthorn starting to come into flower, we're going to see a few more of them. We don't have incredible diversity when it comes to sunbirds here. The most common being the white-bellied, but believe it or not, I saw the magnificent scarlet-chested in our garden a couple of weeks ago. So hopefully we'll find one on drive. Otherwise, we'll just have to go visit the Inga's garden and the aloes to find the sunbirds. Okay, so there we go, number 6. Are we pushed for time, Brian? We are pushed for time. The wind is gusting, the weather is hot, the birds are in hiding, but we like a challenge. And we haven't even seen a grey go-away bird yet this morning. I'm looking for any of the raptors up high. No such luck so far. I think we need to speed towards quarantine for the guaranteed roller. Have you spotted something, Brian? In the sky. Where? Tell me when to stop. I cannot see it. Looking up into this. Oh, Brian. Long spot. Ah. Turn. I know what you are now. Haha. There we go. Number 7. The white-backed vulture. Is he dropping like a rock? No, he's looking for a thermal. Oh. Very distinct, almost M shape. Especially when they're flying towards you, that gives the white-backed vulture away. Or vulture species for that matter. Okay, oh, it's flying. We're going to do one last ball. Don't go away. Oh, we're going to catch you. Where did it go? There, Brian, in the sky, flying at rapid rate. Is it? There we go. It counts. It's a lilac-breasted roller. And it landed. There we go. That was?
Number 7.
No, it must be more than 7. I think that's 8. Oh, we'll work it out. But while Taylor has finally caught up with a horse wearing its pajamas.
A nice little group of different species of animals over here, which is quite nice. It's actually quite sheltered, so they've got a good little spot. Fortunately, unfortunately, there's not much for them to eat over here. I can see the zebras just nibbling on a few of bits of dried grass, I suppose. They're showing us their rumps, which is often the best side of an animal. You see it lots. One day, I'm going to give you a good business venture. Maybe we could have a challenge. Who can make the best calendar and call it Bums of Africa? From your screenshots of Safari Live. I think that's a good idea. Let's see who can come up with a really good one. I always thought that that would make lots of money one day, so there's a business proposal. But you've got to call it Bums of Africa, and you've got to use screenshots from your Safari Live experience. I'm going to very quickly, I'm going to go forward just a little bit just because I want to show you this wildebeest, and then I'm going to have to say my goodbyes to you, unfortunately. But it has been absolutely so much fun this morning, so thank you so much for putting up with all my nonsense. So I just got a shout out from where I used to work at Sabi Sabi, Mr. Ryan, who you may remember as well. He says that I'm doing a great job, so thank you so much, you guys at Sabi Sabi. I miss you all. And one last little look at this wildebeest, Gnu. Everyone always teases me for the way that I say wildebeest, but I don't care. And he is munching away. And thank you so much for this morning, and I'll see you all tomorrow morning for another sunrise safari. So have a wonderful day. Keep your fingers crossed that the wind dies down and the animals come out, and we'll see you tomorrow.
They try and make our way back to the camp. We've chosen a particularly walk through, and yeah, basically she goes the name of the game. That's what we're going to try and do as we go through here. But from myself and from Jean, there we go. Just want to say thank you very, very much for supporting. Thanks for your questions and your comments and where you are this morning, and see you again at 3 o'clock.
So now the wind is galing, but we haven't forgotten about the last two bird species. We're on our way to quarantine, hopefully for a roller and a grey-headed sparrow, but we might get something else. Could we even get 11, Brian? One more than our target. We've seen that one. Oh, we've seen a roller. We can't do the roller. Ah, there, on the ground. You got him? Don't fly away unless you come closer. Oh, they're being very naughty. Here we go. Oh, they're still there. You're on them. Go zoom a little bit up, a little bit up. Oh, up. There's one in the clear if you go higher. Oh, a brief view of a house sparrow. Oh, and a yellow-throated petronia. Boom, boom. I know those weren't the best bird views. We'll try and get you a few more because those were very quick, but they were definitely identifiable. And it wasn't even the sparrow we were looking for. We were looking for a grey-headed sparrow. Not one of the first house sparrows I've actually ever seen on Djuma. Interesting. And there we go. We would have made it with a breeze. There's a Birchall's starling. Now, because it begins with B, Justin is wondering, what do we think would be a good theme song for the killer bees? Brian? Airwolf! I was actually thinking the same thing! That is incredible! I was also thinking Airwolf. Oh no, that's not Airwolf, that's A-Team. I was thinking Airwolf. Or, since we have a bebop, the beatboxer, could we even make our own theme song, an original? So there we go, there's something to work on. So we are coming to the end of a somewhat quiet but highly fun sunrise safari, but we will be again on the sunset safari. So the lions have been found, unfortunately, in also Tinganas and Torchwood, and there was one elephant bull on Cheetah Plains. So it has been a quiet morning, and this hot, windy weather will do that, but hopefully the heat will bring all the elephants towards the waterhole, so we'll have many elephants to see on the sunset safari, and hopefully lots of other creatures. Karula could still be around, so we're definitely going to look for her. But now, from the Killer Bees and the rest of the Safari Live crew, and of course the Thumb, we'll see you a little later.